Welcome to Comics Bazaar, the channel of comics commentary and arcana. This video features X-Force number 14, cover dated September 1992. And this cover is by Greg Capullo, inked by Harry Candelario, but Greg Capullo is not the artist inside this issue yet. His first issue of X-Force is number 15. I used to think that this was his first issue. I never had this originally. I got it as a back issue recently, and I was surprised to find that Capullo was not the interior artist. But the cover itself is a good one. Interesting decision here by the colorist to put Weapon X Kane here and GW Bridge in dark purple, so it sends the eye to X-Force, the X-Force team here. And you can see that Greg Capullo has done a very good job on them. They're all on model in terms of their costumes, but also he's putting his own stamp on the characters. In particular, I like the pose there and expression on Shatterstar. It's good stuff. And I think that this is Capullo up here in the corner box Cable as well. I think that's his drawing too. So Cable does feature inside this issue. No space for him on the cover, but there he is making the corner box up there. So let's open this one up to the first page. This picks up immediately from the end of the previous issue, where X-Force's base in the Adirondack Mountains was exploded by Tolliver, Mr. Tolliver, on his orders, and Cable has escaped with Domino. And he's dropped down this waterfall, and I like the storytelling here from the guest artist Terry Shoemaker, where we just see Cable's bionic arm emerging from the waterfall and grabbing a branch, and there he is pulling himself out, soaked with Domino too, and just calling out Tolliver, and the title of the story, Payback. So he's got Tolliver in his sights. And the creative team here, Fabian Nicieza, writer. So Nicieza plotting and creating the dialogue and narrative captions for this issue. So this is his story. This is his development of Liefeld's original plot lines for the title. Terry Shoemaker, guest pencils. Al Milgrom, guest inks. Chris Eliopoulos, letterer as usual. And then a new colorist, Kevin Tinsley, on the colors there. So let's get into the story proper. I think Terry Shoemaker is, if that's how his name is pronounced, either Shoemaker or Shoemaker, not sure. But I think that he has very good storytelling skills. His storytelling is super clear in this issue. So we see Cable climbing the cliffside, dropping Domino on the ground, and basically continuing his monologue there. Tolliver, you're going to die for forcing Domino to betray us, for overriding the explosive charges we set in the bunker, for killing my entire unit, all my soldiers. He thinks X-Force is dead, all dead because of you. You're going to pay for this, Tolliver. You're going to die. So that is Cable's plan. And then we pick up with the team. They're not dead. Sam has used his blasting power. He says here, he explains it in his dialogue, by expanding my blast field outwards, I protected us from the explosion. But what about everyone else? So, status report. So, Warpath is okay, but Shatterstar and Boom Boom are down, he says. And Weapon Prime asks Cannonball. Well, here's the report from Siren. Richter's out. Grizzly and the Furball. The Furball is Yeti, and the Tiger Striped Creep. I don't think Fabian Nicieza liked that character as he was designed by Liefeld. Are missing. Bridge and Kane are barely in it as well. So Kane seems to be not too bad, but Bridge is out of it. He's unconscious. So this is how everyone has fared. It's kind of surprising that Shatterstar is out cold, since he's supposed to be like a really tough warrior on the team. And let's continue. Well, Kane here, he's still determined to complete the Weapon Prime mission. He says, I'm still in it enough to win it, Siren. X-Force, surrender now. So he's got some neck, all right, but Cannonball basically isn't going to play that game. I don't think so, Kane, he says. You wanted Cable? Well, he's not here. Maybe he didn't survive the blast the way we did. So Kane retorts, you're all accomplices to his crimes, and Siren says, then that makes us felons, eh? Watch as we become escaped felons, my friend. I like that dialogue from Nicieza. And Boom Boom, of course, wants to take Richter with them because they formerly were teammates as part of the New Mutants team from years previous. But Kane says, I can't let you do that. And Warpath just retorts, and what are you going to do to stop us? But look behind him. What is this contraption hovering behind Warpath with this Gatling gun at the front of it as well? Well, let's turn the page, and S.H.I.E.L.D. has arrived. So whoever's commanding this S.H.I.E.L.D. unit says X-Force broadcasts on a loud hailer, X-Force do not resist, you're under arrest. So Warpath says, us not resist? He's got to be kidding. That's very good stuff. Now, this is interesting too, because in previous issues, Gideon went and recruited Krull here to take out Cable. So he has made his way to X-Force's base, but he's obviously seen what's happened with the explosion. And he says here, interesting, if this Cable is dead, that leaves the child external Guthrie unprotected, doesn't it? An easier task then for Krull to pick the ripe little cherry from the tree of eternity and cut its newborn branches down. So Krull developing his own little plan there, but I really like the storytelling. I like the angle that Terry Shoemaker has chosen here, where we have this reverse angle on Krull as he's clinging to the edge of the mountain, and we see the helicopter, the S.H.I.E.L.D. helicopter, flying in towards the scene. And yeah, that's nicely done. Like, he's got good storytelling skills, does Terry Shoemaker. So now what has happened with Cable? Well, downstream, he tells Domino to wake up. He's not forgetting her betrayal of them. And then he calls in the Professor to body slide by 2. So there, I like this panel as well, where we can see this drone or whatever it is just rounding the corner, but not in time to spy Cable and Domino teleporting to Greymalkin, which is Cable's ship that is orbiting the Earth under cover. So the Professor apologizes. I'm sorry, circumstances have not worked more in your favor. Scan for the others, they're alive. So now Cable knows they're not dead. Within a 100-meter diameter of the former headquarters, and they are currently surrounded by S.H.I.E.L.D. assault vehicles, says the Professor. So Cable asks, the question that we the readers have, which is, well, can you port them up here now? And no is the answer. Unwise electromagnetic activity in the surrounding area prohibits such an action. So it won't be as simple as teleporting X-Force out of the grasp of S.H.I.E.L.D. But look at this. I really like the designs that Shoemaker has worked in here into the interior of Cable's ship, where he's got all these cool vehicles here, the motorcycle, this big armored land vehicle, another one there, this battle suit up here hanging from the ceiling. It's good stuff, and it kind of puts me in mind of, like, well, these are obviously designs that could be used for toys to accompany a Cable type toy, and I don't know if they ever did that or not, but certainly the opportunity was there. So now Cable is gearing up to take the battle to Tolliver. So he says, then they're on their own for now. I have to get to Tolliver before he gets away. And Domino exclaims, but the kids need your help. So we've got this tight 3/4 profile close-up on Cable with his flashing eye. They can take care of themselves, and I can help them later. Okay. So now he's got this plane that he's going to use to fly to Sicily, as it turns out, because that's where Tolliver is. And we have a little bit of back and forth there between Domino and Cable, where she's insisting that she's sorry, she's apologetic, she's penitent, but Cable just isn't listening. Tell it to someone who cares. This entire game, you, Tolliver, it's a distraction I don't need, and it's over as of today. Okay, so, right, he's gunning for Tolliver. Good. And I like that shot of the craft hovering. It's got a vertical hover up out of Greymalkin, out of the ship. So, that looks like some greenery there. So I wonder, is Greymalkin not orbiting the Earth, but is is landed somewhere or other, is basically on the ground. That must be the case. Well, let's continue with the story. So we've got some action pages now, X-Force versus S.H.I.E.L.D. And so we've got some good bantering dialogue as well from Nicieza. And I've made the point before when reviewing these X-Force comics that I like the way, and it's contrary to what he does on X-Men when he takes over that title with issue number 14, how Nicieza doesn't overload the panels with narrative captions saying what's going on. Instead, we just get the art telling the story and some nice, witty fighting banter from the various team members. So that's nicely done, and I like Shoemaker's layouts here. Just 3 vertical panels on each of 3 vertical panels here, and it was going to be 3 there, but we've got a double panel at the bottom of the page. So X-Force does pretty well against the S.H.I.E.L.D. Soldiers, but Kane still determined to stop X-Force. Don't make me shoot, he says as he points his gun at Boom Boom, and then the gun just falls apart. And we've got a sound effect there for a vibration. So who could that be? Well, it's Richter. So Richter is conscious again, and he says here, just my vibe power, remember, keep Boomer out of this, Kane. I agreed to help you nail Cable, because it was revealed that Richter witnessed Cable kill his father when Richter was a child. But of course, we the readers will infer that that wasn't Cable, that was Strife. In any case, he continues and says, I agreed to help you nail Cable, but Sam and Tab are my friends. So Warpath, delighted, welcome to the cause, Richter. He says he might be able to survive this fight, Kane maybe, but can Bridge? Because Bridge is unconscious. So here are X-Force just ripping through S.H.I.E.L.D., Cannonball blasting through the ship, Siren taking out the computer gizmos and such with her sonic scream, also taking out the S.H.I.E.L.D. Soldiers as well. X-Force doing quite well, and even Feral punching out one of the S.H.I.E.L.D. soldiers. And Siren says, and I picked up a little help along the way. She's got a S.H.I.E.L.D. gun there, and Feral just responds, as if we needed any with these geeks. So maybe I was thinking, maybe X-Force, it's interesting to think about this. X-Force takes out S.H.I.E.L.D. pretty handily in the space of a few pages. And I mean, on the one hand, that really sells to the reader how tough and how well trained X-Force are by Cable. And on the other hand, maybe S.H.I.E.L.D. were too easily taken out. It kind of downgrades them as a threat. Cannonball here, acting as team leader, says, any of you boys still conscious, better do us all a favor and just settle this crate on the ground nice and slow. This projection screen working? It is. Oh, folks, the fighting stops now, he says. Understood? We've commandeered this ship and we have hostages. So we see inside there, Kane's getting patched up by this S.H.I.E.L.D. doctor. That's a nice shot there of Warpath, or not Warpath, but Shatterstar as well. I like the angle on him there. And a nice anchor image here of Warpath holding this big Gatling gun. And saying there are a lot of injured people here, gang. Any way we can get them some help without compromising ourselves. So that's interesting, because if Cable were there, Cable wouldn't be concerned at all really about the welfare of the injured Weapon Prime members or S.H.I.E.L.D. injured either. He'd just simply take the team out of there. But the team minus Cable are a little bit more humane. They're tough but humane. So Boom Boom says, we'll call Big Brother S.H.I.E.L.D. and tell him to come quick. We'll be long gone before they show up. And then she says to Richter, thanks for the assist. I mean, it's really good to see you again. And I like this little joke from Nicieza, even with the Skid Row haircut and all. Good to see you too, Boomer. I really did miss you guys. So yeah, Richter's been gone since the New Mutant days, and now he's back. And that is, you know, healing a rift in the team. And in particular, because Cable's gone for the moment. So Kane here, I like the way that Nicieza writes him like he's going to rain on their parade. Oh, isn't that sweet? Tell me, how do any of you expect to get out of here? Cable took all your hardware with him before he disappeared. So indeed, how are they planning to get out of there? Well, Cannonball's the one that's got the plan, and he says, you're looking at it, Kane. So Kane gets it. So you want to add theft of S.H.I.E.L.D. property to the list of your crimes? And Richter fills in, think of it more as borrowing. So Kane is surprised. Richter, don't do it, man. Don't go with them. You'll become an outlaw. Kane, you've been cool with me, says Richter, but I've always been one of them. If Cable's out of the picture, then that's the only thing I need to hear. I'm yours, Sam, if you want me. And Tabitha pleads his case, and Cannonball says, no need to even ask, Rick, let's roll. So off they go. X-Force, they're out of there, and they have commandeered / borrowed / stolen the S.H.I.E.L.D. craft, and they'll be using that for the next few issues through Executioner's Song. And here the scene switches to an OFRA Industries research facility in New Mexico. So the CEO of OFRA is Gideon, and he has Sunspot undergoing an experiment, a cruel experiment, and these two technicians here, the professor that's overseeing it, knows that Sunspot, aka Roberto da Costa, might not survive the experiment, but he doesn't want to tell Gideon that they're not going to continue with it. So he engages up to level 2 and says, heaven help us all for what we're about to do, but most of all, heaven help Roberto da Costa. So they're putting him through some pain, whatever this experiment is that's ongoing. Gideon basically, once he discovered that Roberto wasn't the external, he lost all interest in him except as a pawn to further his own goals, and is prepared to subject him to this inhumane experiment along the lines of what happened with Logan in the Weapon X program as well, or Experiment X as it's called. And then we pick up with X-Force. Interesting use of a screen tone there as well by Al Milgrom. 30 minutes later, over the coast of Newfoundland. Nice area, says Siren. Reminds me of home. And that is because the coast of Newfoundland is like the west coast of Ireland. And Siren is originally from County Mayo, the west coast. And she asked the question, are we setting up camp here? By the way, I like the colour hold. It's sort of a colour hold in the background, or on screen, where the cliffs are rendered in red on their screen. I think that's a nice effect. And it's Cannonball they're looking to make the decisions. And he's of two minds. I don't know, Terry, we knocked out the IPAC unit's homing beacon. And that's a nice bit of thought from Nicieza in the plotting here, because you would rather think that S.H.I.E.L.D. would have some tracking device on all of their equipment. So they were clever enough to knock that out. So we have this ship for a few days at least for S.H.I.E.L.D.'s satellites track it down. Shatterstar, where do we go? Guthrie, there's no honour in running like dogs. And Richter says no honour in winding up behind bars either. So Cannonball is thinking there. That's a very good, thoughtful face with the narrowed eyes on Cannonball. What are our choices? Professor Xavier's mansion? What's left? A Moira MacTaggart's Moore Island complex? That's after the battle with the Shadow King, where her complex was blown up at the climax of that storyline. That's just dragging them into our problems. I like the way that Nicieza does that. Richter is now conceiving himself as part of the team, as part of X-Force. So he changes the pronoun there. Just listing our options, Rick, says Cannonball. And Warpath's got a suggestion. We need some place secluded, somewhere no one will look to find us, right? How about my reservation? And he continues and says it'll provide us what we need right now. Time to think things true. And this is interesting. Who's on top of their ship except for Cruel? He tagged along. He must have leaped onto the ship from the side of the mountain as it was taking off. And he's been there for the whole half hour, clawing his way on the hull of the ship. And then he rips his way in. So there's just no rest for X-Force at all. And of course, who's he after? He's after Cannonball. Now Warpath goes straight for Cruel, and that's a good match. We've got contact, but Cruel's faster than Warpath, and he hits him right in the gut. Actually, you know what? From the art there, is it the gut or the crotch he's gone for? By the way, I find Cruel's design, he was designed by Liefeld, so funny. It's kind of hilarious. I was thinking about it. He looks like a character from, the He-Man universe or something like that. But the funniest thing about him is this ponytail that's like a ball, or like a chain and spiked ball. Very much a design that would be kind of cool for a kid's toy or something like that. But then another dimension of him is he kind of looks like a Hindu god or something as well, with those skulls and his purple skin. So I don't know what Liefeld was going for with this design. It kind of works, and it's kind of hilarious as well at the same time. But he's gone for his target, the High Lord, the boy High Lord, Samuel Guthrie. And then he says, prepare to have your branches severed, prepare to learn that even an immortal can die. But that kind of doesn't make sense, because Cannonball did die some issues previous when he was attacked by Sauron. But then he came back to life because he is an immortal. So if you're an immortal, you're an immortal. But anyway, we'll see how all that pans out, perhaps. Then, Sardinia, Italy. So this is where Tolliver is based at the moment. I really like this page. I think this page looks great. I think that's a great establishing shot. I like the colouring on this page by Kevin Tinsley. I think he's doing a very good job here, selling the nighttime scene. I like the light there within the sewage tunnel, which is coming from Domino's flashlight. It's thoughtful colouring going on. And I like this panel too, where the shape of the sewage tunnel is framing Cable and Domino. And Cable is always just super packed with equipment slung over his shoulder and back. It's good stuff. So Domino's saying that Tolliver usually stays in his castle in Austria, but lately he's been doing more business with his Sicilian associates. So that's the mafia. This way, she says. And Cable says these tunnels are ancient. It's to our advantage, she says. Cable's just pulled this weapon from over his shoulder, and we can see on the electronic readout that it's armed. And Domino's continuing, it's to our advantage because of the decay in these tunnels. Tolliver decided it wasn't cost effective to put in a security system down here. Here, she says, this grating should lead to the basement. So what's Cable going to do? Going to remove the grating carefully? No, he just launches a grenade and explodes the grating. Very subtle, says Domino. The subtlety was in getting here, he says. Now that we're in, I want Tolliver to know I'm closing in for the kill. So blasting his way in all the way. Then here he is meeting this other Liefeld design character. Oh, he knows Mr. Cable, he says. And he's more than ready to face you. So what's Cable going to do with this guy? How's he going to tackle him? Well, this is great. So we've got the sound effect here, Zam, and a close-up on the character's eyes. And he's dead. Cable's just shot him. And look at that grim face, that upshot of his face. And again, I think Nicieza is making fun of Liefeld's character designs here. A midget with an electrical whip. Right. Like, I think that's too on the nose. Nicieza taking shots at Liefeld and his character designs. And Domino now, she's got her flashlight forward. Oh Lord, I didn't know, she whispers. What? Nate, I didn't know, I swear to you, I didn't know. And it's that, here's the real Domino. And she has been a captive of Mr. Tolliver for as long as this Domino, Vanessa, has been with Cable and X-Force. Dom, is that really you? Then who's this? And she insists, I didn't know Cable. They told me she was dead. If I'd known the real Domino was. And then something happens behind her and she's knifed. And who's this with the yellow border for his speech balloons? Well, it's someone we haven't seen in a few issues, but here he is again. Popular character at the time. Tell him time and time again, keep your mouth shut. It's Deadpool. But women, you know, they just don't listen. You listen though, don't you, Nate? Then hear this, it's time to die. So our whole focus there is on Deadpool, but take a second look at the panel. Who's here in the background? In lots of silhouette as usual, but with his hat there, his distinctive hat. It's Mr. Tolliver coming down the stairs to the basement to meet Cable. So next issue, Cable versus Deadpool. Plus, is Sunspot going to survive? It's X-Force to the rescue. So my guess, my bet is, yes indeed, he will survive. So the letters here about X-Force number 10, there's a couple of letters talking about how Rob Liefeld is gone. And what's interesting, like this one for example, so this Liefeld guy is history. Not a wise move if you ask me, but this Pacello guy looks as close to Rob's work as one could get. And of course that's what editorial were hoping for, and he was probably under instructions to draw like Liefeld as much as possible. But they make the point here that Pacello, who's getting some love in the letters, may not be doing X-Force right now, but he's going to continue the X tradition as he takes over a few issues of Wolverine. So he did do issue 64 of Wolverine in the middle of Mark Teixeira's short run on the title. And then we have the note about Greg Capullo taking over in the next issue, introducing the new pencils of Greg Capullo. You're going to be blown away, trust us. And indeed, they do. That promise is kept. So I do hope that you enjoyed this review and commentary on X-Force number 14, the issue prior to Greg Capullo coming on board for his year-long run on the title, in which he does some excellent work. A great cover by him to tease his arrival. Let me know your thoughts on this issue in the comment section to the video. If you enjoyed my review, please like the video on YouTube. It really does help the channel. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more content like this.